This is Chet Wilkins with Sentry Builders in one of our buildings in Santan Valley, Arizona. I just wanted to show what can be done on one of these buildings to sheet the inside of the walls. This is one of our buildings. You can see the horizontal framing members. These are called girts that we have to support the sheeting on the outside of the building. What we wanted to do is to sheet the inside so that we can use this for a workshop and hang cabinets off of here. We can use it to protect the insulation. We can use it to just dress up the building and make it look a little better. Plus, we're actually going to use this girt up here as a support member for a shelf that we're going to install. We're going to show you how we've put this together. The finish of this is going to look something like this. It's a 3/4 inch. We're using a 3/4 inch tongue and groove plywood. There's a couple of reasons why we use that heavy of plywood. One is we stand it vertical so that the grain is running vertical. That's the strength of it, is that vertical grain. And we're spanning almost over 3 feet between our backing, between our framing members, so that 3/4 inch thickness gives us a good stout material to span that far. We're also using the tongue and groove plywood so that these edges stay flush with each other. And then we've decided to cut off the top of the plywood. This is 7'4". So we've cut about 8 inches off of the top of our plywood, and we've opted to do that right at this girt member. And then this piece up here, we're doing a 3/4 inch medium density fiberboard that we're using as a shelf. So this piece here is actually cut at 16 inches deep or 16 inches wide, and it's run along the top of that girt. So this is our medium density fiberboard piece. We ripped it 16 inch wide strips. We get 3 strips out of a 4x8 sheet. We've taken a wood router with a round over bit, a 1/4 inch round over, and just eased the front edges of that so that they're not so sharp. The craftsman that's installing this realized that we were going to have a problem back here in the corner because it's a kind of a rounded surface there. So he actually rounded the back corner on the bottom of this so that that shelf would go in and snug tight against the framing member. We're using metal drilling drywall screws. They have a drill tip, an actual drill tip, not just a point on the ends. And we're putting those at about 6 inches on center back in the back. The reason why we're going that close together is just the weight of this shelf is going to be on the front, and it's going to want to leverage that up, and so we're needing the strength back here in the back. And then on the front of this, we're putting them about every foot just so that it's a good and solid piece. Impact driver, screwdriver tip, really easy to set those on with. So the next step, what we want to do is give us something to fasten this base down to, where we're fastening the bottom of the plywood down. On the outside of the steel building, we have an angle piece. This red piece you can see down here in the corner is a 2 inch by 4 inch cold formed base angle that we anchor down to the concrete with some drive pin anchors. That's done all the way around the perimeter of the building, and that's what our sheeting on the metal sheeting screws into on the outside. On this inside, we're going to do something very similar. We're using basically the same material. This happens to be a galvanized piece, but it's a 4 inch by 2 inch angle piece, or 2 by 4, whichever way you want to look at it. And on the 2 inch flange, we've drilled 5/16 inch holes about every 2 feet to give us something to anchor this down to. We're holding it flush with the inside face of these framing members here, so it flushes out all the way through, using just a hammer drill with a 1/4 inch drive bit on it and anchoring down into that concrete. With that drill bit and then these drive pin anchors, they just stick down in the hole, right down in place, and that's how we've anchored that bottom angle piece. When we get to the sheeting part of it, we've got our angle anchored down good and tight. We've got our anchor points at the mid-span at the top. we're going to put this tongue and groove plywood piece on next and put it in. I want to just take a minute, and you can see around the building we've got electrical outlets that we've run around the building at this level. This is 3 foot 8 inches above finished floor. It's almost a perfect height to put those plugs in. I can put a 3 foot workbench in here and have it just above workbench height. We've got plenty of those around the side. We've used a flexible conduit cable to wire those two. It's going to be covered and exposed, or covered and concealed. On the front of these boxes, this is a metal box. We've put a 3/4 inch deep mud ring that basically spaces the face of the cover plate out and away from the electrical box, and gives us a nice finish on that. When we've got this shelf anchored up on the top here, we're actually using just a prop stick. It's just a 2x4 cut, a little bit longer than this is here. You can see it's on a slant, on an angle. We kick it in on the bottom until we get this good and level. We're using a 4 foot level and just making sure that's level. We're actually leaving it a little bit high to start with, thinking that it might relax down a little bit. This is our piece that we're ready to put in. We found that these screws work best when we pre-drill the holes for them. So we've got a hole that's a little bit, just a hair larger than the screw, that'll slip into. We've spaced them about 1 foot centers on the middle and the top. This bottom one is where the pressure, that whole pressure of that shelf and the plywood and everything is going to push down on that bottom. And so we've put those screws at 6 inches on center down at the bottom, the screw holes. And then we've actually cut this, we've cut this piece about a 1/2 inch shy or 1/2 inch short from going the full span, because I wanted to have it where if you spill something on the floor, spill water, you spill oil, spill antifreeze or something like that, that it doesn't wick up on the bottom of the plywood sheet. So we've got screws at 6 inch center on the bottom. We've got screws at 1 foot center at the midspan, 1 foot center at the top. You can see this next piece that we're getting ready to sheet. We've got a cutout piece, a little cutout that we've done for our electrical, to go around our electrical box. We'll put that in here. I'm not going to show putting that sheet in, or that piece in. It takes too long to try to put on this video, but you can see the one we've done previously. We use a piece of the plywood, tongue and groove like that, as a tapping block that we can put on the edge of there and tap it with a hammer to suck that joint together, the tongue and groove joint. And it's just a really nice finish. We're going to paint this white, probably from the floor up. Maybe we may paint the other underside of this. We may paint the whole shelf. But the end result is that we've got a good, strong surface. We can hang shelves, workbenches, cabinets, whatever on this. It's going to be really strong against impact. Anything hitting it is going to protect the plywood or the insulation behind it. It gives a nice clean finish, and I think it's just a pretty good system. And then to bonus, we have that 16 inch wide shelf that we've got for those of you that do classic car restorations and stuff like that. That's where you can put all your trophies up. And if you want camping gear, those are the campers. You can put camping gear up there, whatever. We've got a shelf almost all the way around the shop. I wanted to make one more observation. There are those of you who would say, you know, this plywood is too costly. This is about $30 a sheet for plywood. You can buy sheetrock for probably less than half that for the same size as sheet of sheetrock. But if you think about the sheetrock, if you sheetrock this inside, you've got the expense and the time taken to build a 2x4 wall, or put 2x4s every 16 inches on center, whatever, to hang that to. Install the sheetrock, tape it, texture it, and when you consider all the time that it's going to take to that, plus the fact that you could kick through the sheetrock pretty easily somewhere and you can't hang cabinets off of it or whatever, I think the 3/4 inch plywood is just a really good balance of the expense and the usability of it. So, Chet Wilkins, Santan Valley, Arizona. Sentry Builders is our company. Hope this is helpful. Good luck to you. Thanks.